This video was supposedly taken by a robotic camera while surveying an old oil tanker. A school of fish briefly swims in front of the camera, and suddenly one of the fish gets nailed by a spear in front of the camera. Something fast swims by to collect the fish shortly after. Many people believe that this video demonstrates the possibility of some kind of advanced sea creature who uses tools to hunt. After all, there's no reason for a person to be this far underwater hunting with a spear, and whatever moves in front of the camera is too fast to be a person. Of course, the obvious answer is CGI, but I would love to get your thoughts. A YouTuber named Dylan HD decides to explore an abandoned house with some friends. The home still has some furnishings, including a wall full of creepy paintings of children. The far end of the house is completely dark, and they are hesitant to explore this section. Finally, one of them bravely goes into the darkened corner and comes back shaken. He announces someone is looking at them through the window. Pay attention to the thin beam of light behind him during this clip, because that's the window he's referring to.
So someone was at the window.
Act.
Someone was at the window.
It's
gone really bright. Is the window after all?
No, it's the same.
Oh!
The thin beam of light silently extinguishes as the window is closed by whoever was on the other side. It's important to note that all three friends were close together when this happened. One could be seen on tape, the second was holding the camera, and the third could be heard directly to their right. The trio runs screaming out of the house and never looks back. In this clip, caught at the Credit Bank BCP, a cameraman is talking with a pair of colleagues, one male, the other female. He's standing behind them as they talk, but if you look instead at the background, you'll notice a dark figure over the man's shoulder race past.
Oye, en la cámara acaba de pasar ahorita una niña corriendo.
¿Así?
Oye, la niña que llora. Oye, te juro que en la cámara acaba de pasar ahorita corriendo, una niña.
The cameraman says, "I have just seen a girl crossing there, the crying girl." He is talking about the Latin American weeping woman ghost, as this was shot in Lima, Peru. The man in the shot thinks the cameraman is joking, but when the cameraman goes to check, he turns up nothing, no girl, an empty room. "I swear I have seen the ghost of a girl crossing here. I will show you the video," the man says. Did she simply disappear? A corresponding surveillance video of the bank's automatic doors revealed that they opened around the exact same time, but no little girl, no one at all exited. Well, some believe this video to be a fake. Others think that perhaps it truly was the weeping woman. This North Carolina sewer video was uploaded by Ryan Morris in 2009 and eventually made its way to 4chan. The life form looks like the inside of a body, not the outside of any organism. It relaxes and contracts, moving in the way the lungs or heart might, and it grows like a blob on the walls of the sewer. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly disturbing. What do you think this unknown life form is? Could it be extraterrestrial? Maybe. Many 4chaners claimed it's a type of worm. Whatever the case, it certainly is a scary sight. It's late at night and YouTuber Molly the Leg is the only car on the road. When he sees something that doesn't make sense, follow the curvature of the road and look in the distance to see it.
What was that?
What? What?
I saw somebody on a bicycle or something like that.
Up ahead, Molly the Leg sees a bright light cross the road and then suddenly disappear. What's also strange is how the street lights start flickering when this happens. He has no idea what the moving light was. It couldn't have been a car because there was nowhere for vehicles to go but straight. Molly the Leg even used Google Maps to verify this. So I'm at a complete loss. Jonathan Savo published this video in January 2015. After visiting his girlfriend in a Paris hospital, he wrote that a woman in the next bed was roaring and screeching with the voice of a devil, and that's what the video captures. The woman is seen lying flat in a bed, speaking in a raspy, evil voice. She is harassing the couple, calling them tacky and ugly, and telling them they're all going to die. Although you can only see her profile in the video, and you can't see her mouth moving, what you can see is her chest rising and falling as she delivers her angry tirade of insults and threats. She then says she's going to call her mafia friend, after which she claims she's going to remove her IV drip so they can get out of the hospital. That's where the clip ends, leaving us wondering if the woman did in fact try to escape, but John doesn't leave us hanging. In his own words, he wrote, "I was no longer filming when she or it started to get up and wanted to take the life of a person sitting next to her. 5 nurses came in to stop her, and we were asked to leave the room quickly. What happened next, John doesn't know." Prior to this experience, John says he was skeptical about demonic possessions and everything related to them, but after seeing one in the flesh, he's a believer. Surveillance footage was taken from the Helmut College in South Africa. A strange mist appears in the far doorway and slowly morphs into the shape of a girl wearing a long dress. She casually walks into a nearby classroom as if this was just another ordinary school day, except of course the room is empty and no one is in the building. Even though this is called Helmut College, it's actually just a high school, and this phantom-like figure does appear to be around the same size as an average student. This makes me think it could possibly be real, though I guess they could have just edited this girl into the video if they really wanted to. Named Craig Wilson was doing some home repairs when he noticed a small hole in his backyard. He opened it up a little more and was shocked at what he found waiting down below.
This hole goes down, 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 to a giant cavern.
It's a gigantic earthen cavern extending a full 16 feet straight down. Craig wonders out loud if this was natural or man-made as he continues to videotape from a dizzying height. Craig quickly had the hole filled the next day, but he'll never forget about the huge underground threat that was once threatening his home. He and his wife think that it was probably a well about 60 or 70 years ago, but they aren't positive. I'm just relieved that the hole didn't widen while he was standing over the edge. Blurry Faces is a YouTuber exploring 2 mysterious schools standing next to each other. They were both built around World War II and have been abandoned for a long time. Everything starts out normal until Blurry Faces is exploring an upstairs room full of classroom furniture. After that, something seems to be stalking them at every turn. The strange banging noises only grow louder and more persistent as time wears on. I will give them credit for being courageous and sticking around for so long. This is the event that finally makes them lose their composure and scramble. This time Blurry Faces bravely tests the weight of the door himself and finds that it's way too heavy to swing open with such ease. You can tell he is putting a lot more effort into opening and closing the door than whatever just opened it moments earlier. Tell me what's written in Spanish across the door and if it has any significance to what could be possibly lurking inside. A YouTuber named Sean Wells 2001 is convinced that something unholy is lurking in his attic late at night. It always starts with a weird static sound, almost like an industrial fan, even though nothing is plugged in. Sean leaves the camera on overnight to see what happens. The mechanical humming sound doesn't go away, and then at 3 a.m., new disturbances are heard. And if you are wondering why Sean doesn't go up there and see what it is for himself, here's why. There's no way a raccoon or any other creature would have enough strength or intelligence to lift up the attic door like that. So Sean's video is either 100% paranormal or just a prank. Let me know which one you think it is, because I really can't tell for sure. The Ninjin is supposed to be a large aquatic humanoid that was originally discovered by Japanese whale researchers in the Arctic. This video, allegedly taken from the Japanese Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, appears to strongly corroborate the legend. The slow-moving camera creeps past what appears to be a rounded humanoid creature with two large white eyes. Look closely and you can see a playful smile across the sea creature's face in what some have called a knowing look. Everything from a whale to a rock has been proposed, though nothing has been verified. Let me know if you think this video is evidence of a human-like creature lurking somewhere in the icy waters below. Imagine you're in the ocean, surfing, and you spot in front of you the gray fins of something huge. John Hershey published this video of a sneaky great white shark in December of 2015. If you watch the video in full, you mainly see the surface of the video interspersed with some slight dips just beneath the surface. The water is green and the shore is not far beyond where Hershey is lying on top of his surfboard, but as the 30-second mark approaches, a gray shape appears moments later, a dorsal fin, and at the 39-second mark, pause it just right, and you can see a brilliant red eye. Remember, Hershey is on a surfboard, nothing but a thin veneer of safety, made of polystyrene foam, remains between him and the jaws of the great white. Hershey was surfing in Santa Cruz, California at the time. Whatever the case, it makes you wonder why anyone would dare put a toe in that water. Dairo Firma TV published this video in 2007. The video shows a red swing set at a park on a windy day. At the beginning of the video, the middle swing is flying back and forth rapidly, as though someone is swinging vigorously on it, only there's no one near the swing set. A man then walks in and stops the swing, and for a moment, it is still. Along with the swings on either side, they sway a little with the wind, but nothing like what the middle swing had been doing moments before. Then suddenly, the middle swing starts swinging back and forth again. It even starts to twist around a bit. People are gathered around the swing set, watching the phenomenon. What is causing the swing to move? It is clearly windy, but why are the other swings just swaying slightly? Well, this one is going berserk. Is a ghost child currently inhabiting that swing? Who knows? Well, most 4chaners argue that the video is indeed real, without the use of special effects. It is apparently caused by the Renaissance phenomenon, which makes this cause more scientific than paranormal. David Whitehurst is piloting his drone over the neighborhood when all of a sudden a much smaller white object nearly collides with him at a far greater rate of speed. David doesn't know what this fast-moving object is, and honestly, neither do I. Give me your best guess and let's solve this perplexing video together. YouTuber Trevor Heasley published this clip in August of 2016. The footage was on the set of Postcards, a 2008 Pasadena City College student film. He'd taken it during the film shoot at the Metropolitan State Mental Hospital. Although the cast and crew heard a lot of ruckus during filming, they didn't see anything unusual. That is, until Trevor got his camera home and watched the footage back. The abandoned state mental hospital appears quite eerie in the footage, darkened windows on a hot summer day. The footage involves lots of close-ups and long shots of the area, including some gags with the cast. Everyone seems to be having a good time on the shoot, but will what happened next haunt them? During the shoot of one scene, the vapor-thin figure of a ghost appears to be walking across the hallway right before two of the cast. Apparently completely unaware of what just crossed their path, come running through. Okay, so it probably won't haunt them, being as they weren't even aware of what was happening before their own very eyes. That is, unless the spirit somehow inhabited one of them. I think we need to follow up with the cast and crew of Postcards, and maybe then we can solve this scary mystery. Two school custodians are standing in the middle of a creepy old boiler room. One of them is the supervisor, and he was called in after his coworker said that she saw objects moving around on their own. He records the situation for legal workplace reasons, and the two of them reluctantly investigate.
Alright, hang on, just wait. I don't want to go back there. Let me just take a look. Now, you say what happened now?
The door shut by itself. Itself, Dave.
Alright.
The supervisor doesn't see anything out of the ordinary, and he reassures his coworker that everything is okay. He encourages her to go deeper into the boiler room and get something that she needs, and that's when things go wrong.
Is there anybody back here? Go ahead.
No.
What's that? Oh my...
A metallic chair scrapes towards them on its own and they both fall back. I guess the supervisor could have pulled on a string, but I think the chair moves a farther distance than he would have been able to pull judging from where he was standing. A YouTuber named Michael Delaney is flying his drone when he comes across a wild animal in the brush. He follows its path and soon finds himself hovering above a den of rattlesnakes. Michael is casually observing their natural habitat when suddenly one of them feels threatened enough to react. The drone is fine, but the snake managed to dislodge the camera. Now the situation gets a whole lot more real, as Michael realizes he will have to somehow reach into an underground pit of snakes if he wants to see his GoPro again. Thinking fast, he wisely chooses to go in with a hockey stick instead of his bare hands. He balances the GoPro on the end of the stick and pulls it to safety. Keep in mind that he's standing in tall grass and could have easily been bit by a stray rattler. Let me know if you think you're brave enough to do the same thing, or if you would have just left your camera with the reptiles. Pasty Pickle is the name of a YouTuber who has been having a strange house problem. Time and time again, he goes outside only to see a figure in the window. Despite there being no one in the room, there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to why this happens. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. He shows that no one is hiding in the room, and then goes outside to see if he can capture the elusive figure on camera.
Holy shit, there's actually a figure today. I actually got it on tape, no way.
The sun kind of gets in the way, but look closely at the top window and you'll see a very faint outline in the center. It almost looks gray and formless. You can see it a lot better here.
Wow. Holy. Okay, alright.
Give me your best guess as to what you think this could be, paranormal or otherwise. If you spotted a spooky figure roaming the hospital at night, I'm guessing your first response wouldn't be to grab your camera. It would be to run as fast as your legs could carry you. But one brave individual saw capturing the passed away doctor on video as a challenge. The footage was taken in the Honduras school hospital Universitario. The doctor in question is said to have taken his own life at this very hospital and remains there. Stalking up and down the place at night and flicking the lights on and off in patient rooms. As you can see in the video, a shadowy ghostly figure floats in the empty, poorly lit hallway from behind a door. The hallway is full of stretchers. Do you think this figure is something from another dimension? A ghostly presence, or perhaps something else? Whatever it is, I'd steer clear of this corridor at night. When a YouTuber named Aqua Chigger stumbles across a fallen tree, something compels him to take a look inside. He immediately spots an unusual fragment in the freshly upturned earth.
Weird. What do you think?
This prompts him to look inside of the hole. He doesn't see anything else at first, but then...
Ooh, what's that? Stuff might just have gotten real, guys.
It's a piece of green fabric that Aqua Chigger hopes is just a tent. When he finds buttons, however, he knows that this is somebody's blouse. He finds some more remains and turns them over and over again, trying to determine if they are human or not. He notes that they are right by the highway, and even says that police found a different body in a creek not too far from here. He eventually finds the jaw of a deer and some other scattered animal remains, so he decides not to call the police. Even if this was just animal remains, it still doesn't explain the fabric he found, nor does it explain how a couple of other bones look like they possibly could have belonged to a human. Let me know what you think this was, and if you think he came across something that should have been reported. Well, World War II hospitals are frightening. Imagine exploring the place that no one leaves alive, a hospital morgue. That's where YouTuber Exploring with Josh took his channel in July of 2017. In this video of an abandoned California hospital, Josh comes across sharp scalpels, hospital chairs, and loads of scattered papers, as if whoever worked here left in a hurry. Why? According to Josh, the hospital closed down because it didn't meet the requirements for new earthquake regulation rules, so it seems they didn't bother remodeling the place and instead simply shut it down. There is caution tape draped over one examination table. Whether it was left over from the police or from some trespassing kids is unclear. There's plenty of graffiti on the walls to imply that this place hasn't been entirely abandoned at all. It seems to be a regular stomping ground for youth with nothing to do, but should it be? There's a big red box that reads Danger Biohazard, which makes one wonder if it's even safe to be exploring this hospital at all. Josh continues into a massive room where holiday decorations are kept. The crew walks on into the pediatric center and then decides to go search out the morgue, but before they do, they come across a room filled with hospital equipment. From hospital beds to examination tables to lights and microscopes. Further in, they come across an incubator, computers, old hard drives. Everything was simply left behind to rot. They even left supplies like syringes that are still in their original packaging. Finally, they arrive at the morgue. Inside is a flatbed, sinks, and autopsy tools. Then, of course, there are the stainless steel freezers, which line the walls, ready to take in new patients. Josh decides to test it out, walking inside the freezer. He accidentally rubs against the walls. Now you've got dead body on you, his friend says. All I have to say is that at least he isn't one of them. A paranormal investigator who goes by Bakersfield Paranormal Services sadly lost his mother and is filled with grief. Even though he is very distraught, he wants to communicate with her. He goes to the cemetery with his equipment and approaches his mother's marker. At first he asks some basic questions and has her respond by playing with the lights.
Are you always around me and my wife and my kids? Thank you. Emotions there, Mom. Do you love my wife? Okay, I got it. I got it.
After a while, he pulls out what he calls a ghost box, which supposedly allows his mother to communicate using various radio frequencies. He believes other spirits are crowding around the box and keeping his mom from communicating.
Mom, can you please speak to me? You're trying to?
He thinks she says, "I'm trying to," but I think it kind of sounds like she might be saying, "I love you." Listen to it again, and let me know what you hear during this part. This video looks like it came straight out of a scary movie, but it is claimed to be real-life footage of a patient at a mental hospital in Sadovich, Siberia, according to William M., who wrote about the true story of what happened in Sadovich, Siberia. The story of Sadovich Asylum is incredibly disturbing. The location is remote, and all that remains are records and legends about what happened there, some of which served as inspiration for the 2012 film Entity. Without further ado, let's analyze this video. The footage shows a skeletal man in a white dressing gown, sitting and rocking slightly on a hospital bed. The room is dark and sparse, and the bed is narrow and doesn't look comfortable at all, which is perhaps why this patient is up all night, rocking back and forth. You can see the patient curled up in the fetal position on the bed, then huddled over, then standing. He then starts pushing the bed by the railing. After that, he appears as though he's removed his hospital gown, and he is seen leaning off screen, perhaps against the wall, trying to get out. He makes his way around the room, then he is seen lying on the floor by his bed. You can hear a horrifying guttural scream in the video. It's one of the most tortured howls you will ever hear. Along with whatever is unfolding in this video, other paranormal events are said to have occurred at Sadovich, and these events were becoming more and more common. More than one patient reported of evil things happening within that institution, until the authorities were forced to close the facility down, and it's good that they did. This video gave me some serious chills. Marcus Webb has been feeling a presence in his house and decides to start recording. A white specter passing by is what he claims to find. I'm not sure if this is a dusty cobweb or something truly paranormal. All I know is that Marcus felt like he was not alone, and the camera verified that something moved nearby, which is definitely a creepy coincidence. A YouTuber named Charles M is checking out an old house for sale in Las Vegas that was supposedly owned by the mafia. At one point during the tour, he comes across a fake wall in the kitchen and follows an old set of stairs down to a secret basement. The basement extends for a long time further and further underground, eventually opening up into a long white room that's completely bare, except for cabinets lining the far wall. Connected to this room are two other smaller rooms about the size of a closet. They each give him a bad feeling. The two smaller rooms are dark and soundproof. Strangest of all, the doors only have knobs on the outside. I don't know why the mob would have needed a soundproof room that nobody could escape from, and I don't want to know. That's all he finds. Hidden inside the ventilation shaft of one of the rooms is what appears to be a single spent bullet casing. A man at work accidentally locks himself in a large attic. He's trying to open the door when he hears a strange noise and decides to start recording. He thinks out loud that it could be a rat or a pipe as he cautiously continues to film.
I'm getting kind of a spooky vibe up here. Right there. There it is again.
Soon he realizes that the strange thump is coming from the very top of some steps that he has never seen before. He climbs the steps and suddenly feels like he is no longer alone.
Hello?
Apparently he was right.
Whoa!
Something clatters to the ground and sends him running down the steps. I'm not sure how he managed to get out, but when he did, I'm sure he was glad he had plenty of video evidence to back up his claims. No Squid Sid published this scary video in October 2015, writing, "While I am away, a strange man is caught on my surveillance camera, snooping around my house. I accidentally left my webcam on after making a video, and I then left the house with it on." The video shows a normal living room with a sliding glass door revealing a backyard with a fence. A van pulls up beyond the fence. The uploader said he assumed it was a visitor of one of his neighbors. The guy gets out of the vehicle and looks directly at the house. The guy is then out of view for a moment. The uploader thought he went up the street, but soon enough he is seen peering into the room. The man is bald, wearing jeans and a hooded sweatshirt, and he stands right up next to the sliding glass door peering inside. He's holding a piece of paper in his hand. He knocks on the window of the patio door, pulls up his pants and waits. After a moment, he appears to be leaving, but you don't see him get back into his vehicle for about a minute. The uploader suggests that maybe he went around to the front door to knock because he could hear his dog barking in the video. When he does finally get back into his vehicle, he gets out again, leaving the car door open. He seems to be carrying something rather large, but you can't really make out what it is. Suddenly, there's a loud noise captured in the video. What was the noise? You see the man get back into the vehicle and he finally drives off, and the questions remain. What was he doing there? Why was this stranger knocking and lurking around the uploader's house? Why did he knock on the back door first? And most importantly, what was that noise? The uploader says that when he returned to his house, he found a crack in his door, so that must have been the noise near the end of the video. Was he trying to break in? Who knows? But the uploader hasn't seen the strange lurker since. This footage was supposedly taken from a submarine lurking somewhere in the Greenland Sea. The crew is so fascinated with a school of fish overhead that they fail to see a much rarer creature directly behind them. A large webbed hand that is roughly 5 times larger than any human's slaps the glass before pushing away. It's almost as if the humanoid creature was toying with the submarine crew and wanted to make its presence known. However, one thing bothers me about this video. If everyone is so interested in the school of fish passing above them, then why is the cameraman focusing on his crewmate's reaction instead of the fish? This video could very well be scripted and CGI, although it also wouldn't surprise me if it really was legitimate. Only the submarine crew knows for sure. Cora MK2 is a serious motorcycle enthusiast with a YouTube channel detailing his many road adventures. One night he is biking across a normal looking bridge in Pasadena, California, when he sees something particularly unsettling. Be sure to watch the right side or you'll miss it. You might have missed it anyway, so here it is again.
This girl right here, she's just standing there. She's not walking, she's just standing there, and you can't really...
It's important to note that the replay was not edited. After I knew where to look, I was able to go back to the original footage and see her easily. Cora MK2 says that the girl was smiling, though the camera isn't able to pick up the details of her face. Apparently, so many people have taken their lives on this bridge that it's gotten to a point where they had to install fences as a deterrent. Perhaps this girl was either contemplating taking her life, or was the spirit of someone who already has. What's scarier than a child ghost? A child ghost at a hospital, that's what. When hospital staff saw the ghost of a child at their hospital 10 times over only a few hours, they were left shivering in their scrubs. Cordoba Children's Hospital in Argentina, it is claimed. The hospital staff weren't even going to let the ghost leave peacefully. Instead, they were determined to interact with it. Some say they place balloons in the location where it's routinely seen, and those balloons always burst on their own, and one nurse was even more determined to capture the young child on camera. She claims to have succeeded in capturing him or her playing hide-and-go-seek. In the video, the specter is crouching behind a bed, which had been left out overnight in the hallway. The cot had a sheet tucked over top of it. A nurse caught the ghost on camera as she saw the child ghost peer from behind the sheet. While some skeptics don't believe the hype, other visitors and hospital employees say they've seen this child ghost too. Moreover, not all viewers agree that there's anything in this video, while others say there's certainly a creepy shadow to the right of the cot. The ghost's nickname is the Ghost of 500, and legend has it that this child ghost is the soul of a patient who passed away in room 500. The corridor where it was caught on camera is no longer in use, and it links to the children's wards. This group of friends decides to go into an old middle school that's rumored to be haunted. The building has only recently been abandoned, and it's still in relatively good condition, so there's not much to say until they come to one section of the school that's much darker and filled with mold. The group still feels safe in their large numbers down here, and they bravely trudge through a series of musty hallways. They don't see anything out of the ordinary, but when they put the video on YouTube later, somebody points out a possible shadow figure in the distance during this part in particular. I personally think that it could just be stacked debris, but then again, I can somewhat make out the faint outline of a shadow that's roughly the size of a child. The more I look at it, the more I can notice its legs and head in particular. Let me know if you agree, or if you think I'm looking into the situation too deeply. A YouTuber named eerie is a ghost hunter, using some sort of paranormal software that I'm not familiar with. It almost looks like split screen night vision, with some sort of enhancement feature on the right. Anyway, Ariane uses the program to capture what appears to be an oversized face, lingering in her window.
Yeah, seriously, I'm like looking at this window, there's nothing out there. It looks like there's a face. That's really creepy.
She says that she's been feeling watched in real life when she turned the app on and pointed it towards the window. Meanwhile, the colors continue to switch from pitch black to a gray discolored face.
Not normal.
Be sure to let me know what this app is and how it works if you have any knowledge. While most hospitals have some stories to tell, I'm guessing a World War II hospital has even more grisly ones on the docket. In this video, published by Subi in November of 2017, he and his friends explore an abandoned World War II hospital in Milton Keynes. For some reason, they chose the dead of night for their exploration, so straight off the mark, the hospital looks scary simply because it's cloaked in darkness. The only guiding light is the beam from Subi's flashlight. The crew enters in through a broken window. The pair have apparently been in the hospital before because one of them says he's not going down a certain direction because that's where they hear things all the time. At one point they stop to listen because they both say they've heard something. It isn't clear what they've heard, but they continue on regardless. It sounds as if there's loads of glass on the ground as they walk through the building, cracking and breaking the shards beneath their boots. One room, Subi claims, is a gas chamber, and there are many pipes and stalls throughout. He then decides it must have been a shower block. While the hospital doesn't turn up anything truly mind, a motorcyclist named Motor 2 Wrist is biking through India when he misses his turn and gets lost. Now it's threatening to rain and his bike's narrow high beams are his only source of light. Motor to Wrist is already close to losing his composure when he sees something that pushes him completely over the edge. Some stranger rushes at him from the side of the road. Keep in mind that it's 10 at night and there's apparently no villages around for miles. The pedestrian would have to be out of their mind to travel down a dark road in bad weather without so much as a flashlight to guide their way. Moto to Wrist is positive that he's seen a ghost and quickly speeds off, though it might have been someone in distress. We'll never know what the situation was for sure, but I'd like to get your opinion nonetheless. Two students are racing down a flight of steps when an insidious spirit rushes up and sweeps one of them off their feet. A paranormal tug-of-war match ensues as the frightened student tries to free his friend from the clutches of this malicious shadow fiend. Eventually, the evil entity lets go and dematerializes behind them as they run up the steps. Many people think that this was an actual possession attempt caught on video, and that this person would have been a goner for sure, if not for the quick reactions of his friend. I'm not sure whether or not I believe that theory, so please let me know what you think. Explore With Us is a YouTube channel that goes to abandoned areas to see what they can find. This was taken during their very first live stream when they were checking out a post office and a general store in the middle of an old ghost town. The rickety buildings look ready to collapse at any moment, but what's inside the buildings is not the strangest part of this video. About 3.5 minutes into the stream, someone tries to make contact with the group.
Should I answer that? Hello? Hello?
No one is on the other side. All they hear is this strange noise. Obviously, this could just be a prank from one of the viewers, but I don't think their location was ever disclosed. Therefore, it could have just as easily been an old resident of this abandoned town. There's just no way to tell for sure. Also, pay attention and you'll see a faint red light in the distance. Hopefully it was just a cell phone tower or something like that. But then again, there doesn't seem to be any other structures nearby, just darkness. A YouTuber named Aquachigger found growing on the bottom of a river in Williamsport, Maryland. It's a riverbed full of green gelatinous plant life that strangely sways and shimmers. Aquachigger believes he may have found some kind of a brightly colored underwater alien colony. While I'm not so sure about that, I certainly do think this is a strange find. Let me know if you have seen anything like it before, and if so, what it could be. This one's a little difficult to see, but when you do, the payoff is worth it. A YouTuber named Past is exploring an abandoned property in Nottingham. Pay attention to the very last window during this clip. Even then, I doubt you'll see it. Now here it is again, with the paranormal sighting highlighted. Something very large appears to move quickly in the very last window. However, this window leads outside and is 2 floors from the ground. With this in mind, what could this moving object be? This security camera footage, uploaded by DJ Ashba in August of 2015, shows an outdoor courtyard on a sunny day. The uploader claims he left that afternoon and locked his doors and no one was in his house. He returned to find one of them open, so he checked his security cameras to see how this happened, and this is what he found. You can see a flash of light in the video, and then the door swings open, but no one comes out, or no one that we can see anyway. The uploader writes, "I named the ghost in my house Charlie. Since this, I have experienced several unexplainable creepy occurrences. Hopefully, for the sake of these homeowners, Charlie finds a different haunting ground." On December 17th, 2008, 4 17-year-old boys were found passed away in their car at an abandoned farm 10 miles from their hometown. This clip's description reads, published in 2009 by Indra and Cole 3, No Through Road is allegedly the last remaining footage of the boys alive. The found footage involves 4 boys from Stevenage, Hertfordshire. According to the clip, the residence near where these boys were found was thought to be abandoned, but when police investigated, it appeared to have recent inhabitants. According to the video, the footage was released with the parents' consent in order to garner any leads in the investigation. The footage shows your average British teens out driving around at around 4 in the morning. They get lost on the dark back roads, and their GPS has stopped working. One of the boys gets out of the car, but then he looks terrified and races back to the passenger seat screaming, "Drive!" He claims there is someone wearing a mask. After driving off again, the boys get in a fight about where they're going. They seem to find their way, and then they suddenly get lost again, and are nearing a tunnel with signage that says, "Private road, no through way." They stall in the road. Wondering what to do, suddenly there's a man standing in the middle of the road in their headlights. He starts walking towards them, and the boys don't live to tell their tale. But this footage does. Of course, most of the replies on posts of this video on the export mention that this is a short film, but that doesn't make it any less scary. Here's a strange dashcam video from Malaysia that will leave you scratching your head. These motorists are on a dark road when they pass by a woman in a pink shirt once, and then again, a little farther up the road, and a third time, at which point they are noticeably alarmed and speed away, only to run straight into her a fourth and final time. Watch the full video and you'll see that they are not driving in a circle. Even if they were driving in a circle, there's no way they could have completed a full lap in the short time it takes for the woman to appear again. Perhaps what's most unsettling about this is how each time the woman's back is turned to them, never once seeing her face. What would you think if you saw a wheelchair moving down an eerie, empty, poorly lit hospital corridor at night? You might think you've walked straight into a horror movie. That's probably what security for this hospital thought when they reviewed the security footage after some ghost was up to no good. In the footage, a wheelchair is parked near a wall at the end of the hallway, but slowly it starts to turn and begins to roll backwards around the corner. No one is pushing it and no one is sitting in it, so who or what is maneuvering the chair? And where are they going? Only the spirits lingering in this hospital know. This video taken at the North Dallas High School in Texas by a YouTuber named Smart Dolphin captures a very hard to find figure at the end. I've highlighted the possible ghost so that you can see it more easily. This is without a doubt the colorless outline of a human. You can see his feet shift a little bit as he changes his stance if you look closely enough. With this in mind, the question becomes whether or not this person was living when this video was recorded. I guess it wouldn't be too hard to make somebody look all gray like this with some decent editing equipment, but let me know if you think this is a genuine ghost or just a fake. Drew2727 is watching a boxing match with some friends when he catches an unwanted visitor outside. Pay attention to the sliding glass window as he pans around. An impossibly large creature with a long twisted neck appears to be regarding the group from the backyard. I will say that something does feel a little staged about this video because no one is talking or even looking at the camera as it passes by. But I guess they could have just been a quiet group of friends. Chris Moon is a paranormal expert who travels around the country demonstrating the metaphysical properties of the spirit world. This time he is using a spirit box at the Cornell College in Iowa when suddenly a student's jewelry does something I've never seen before.
My necklace? It's moving. Can we get some? Relax, everybody don't crowd her, please. We get it, we're filming it, it's okay.
Her necklace starts going berserk as the spirit apparently tries to get her attention. She then hears a familiar voice come across the spirit box and immediately bursts into tears. The voice talking to her, she believes, was an old volleyball coach who passed away.
I just wanted me to tell you hi. He misses you so much.
Chris Moon says aw and points to the box when he hears it. This video certainly captured some convincing evidence of the spirit world that Chris is trying to prove exists. YouTubers The Proper People published this exploration of an abandoned psychiatric hospital in April of this year, 2018. The psych hospital was built in the 1800s for poor folks who couldn't afford healthcare. and has been abandoned for more than 2 decades. The place certainly looks old. Whole pieces of wallpaper are chipping from the walls. Below the hospital are tunnels connecting to the surrounding buildings. The crew didn't enter the tunnels because unlike the psychiatric hospital, those buildings are still in use, but they did come upon a fallout shelter. Many of the rooms they come across are empty. Some are locked, making the crew and their viewers curious about what's inside. But perhaps the most curious rooms are those with piles of the psych's hospital supplies and equipment. Chairs, tables, walkers, buckets, mattresses all thrown together in one place. They even encounter an old green tub with an adjacent seat used to lift disabled patients in for bathing. And further on, they arrive at half of an elevator car. For some reason, there's something so unsettling about an open elevator shaft and an elevator not where it's supposed to be, Michael says. It gives you a bad feeling. Well, Michael, this whole place gives us a bad feeling, so I'm going to stay as far away from that hospital as possible.
This ladder is walking down the driveway. No one's touching it. No one's around it. And it's actually walking down the driveway.
That's the reaction of Tony Dode as he videotapes a walking ladder on its own. The ladder clatters down the driveway as if someone is guiding it in short steps, but nobody is near. If you have any possible explanations for this, or have seen this before with your own eyes, then please share your experience. If no one has a proper explanation, then this is one of the most perplexing videos I think I've analyzed on this channel to date. This huge wall of security monitors shows that everything in this building is silent, and still except for a single sign going haywire. I've seen signs twisting around from the air conditioning before, but this looks a little different. The back and forth swaying seems very deliberate, almost as if an invisible force is hanging off of it. I don't have much more information about this video, aside from it taking place somewhere in Singapore. Let me know what you think of it. Britton Smith is hanging around her dorm room when she notices something is apparently laying in bed with her. An invisible force appears to be pressing up and down on the flowery design of her covers, right before her very eyes. I will admit that it's hard to tell if something is on top of the covers or simply underneath, in which case it could be anything and not necessarily paranormal. Britton Smith describes this as a ghost in her dorm room, but I'd like to know if you agree with her or not. This alien-like creature perplexed everyone when the footage was released to the public sometime in 2008. Shell Company says they caught it on video hanging around one of their oil platforms about 200 miles from Houston, Texas. It was eventually identified as a long-legged sea creature called the Magna Pinna squid. But even to this day, many videos still insist that this is evidence of alien life. As such, I just wanted to include this squid on the list to put the rumor to rest. A home with a history of passings is sometimes best kept empty. At least, that's what the Hernandez family discovered when they saw something hidden in their security footage. Prior to moving into this home, they were told by a man who knew about the property that their house had a history. According to Brianna Hernandez, he said that several years ago, his uncle had a house on this corner lot, and his uncle passed away. The house remained unoccupied for a time before it was leveled, and new duplexes were built over top of it. While her husband was concerned about ghosts, Brianna was a cynic, that is until she saw the surveillance footage. The Hernandez family was having dinner on a Tuesday night when her husband looked over at the security camera footage just as a strange image appeared on screen. As soon as I saw it, my hair stood up. I've never seen anything like that before, Brianna said. While she didn't see the image at the time of its appearance, her husband quickly asked if a person had appeared, and they all went to check it out. The image did indeed appear to be a person, but not one of this world. The entire family, even the cynic Brianna, believe it is a ghost. The image, she says, is bright, and the arms and legs of the figure are moving as it passes through. What do you think? Is this glider a ghost? If not, what could it be? Britton Smith is hanging around her dorm room when she notices something is apparently laying in bed with her. An invisible force appears to be pressing up and down on the flowery design of her covers, right before her very eyes. I will admit that it's hard to tell if something is on top of the covers or simply underneath, in which case it could be anything and not necessarily paranormal. Britton Smith describes this as a ghost in her dorm room, but I'd like to know if you agree with her or not. YouTuber This Is Dan Bell explored a creepy apocalyptic looking hospital in May of 2016. The hospital in question must have been a Christian hospital, as there is a cross on the front of the building. From the outside looking in, the place does live up to its title. The windows are darkened, and it's clearly empty and in disrepair. Upon entering, Dan finds a storage room filled with broken chairs. The room alongside it is covered in garbage and remnants of the past. Closer inspection of the garbage that lines the floor shows that this place was a dumping ground for needles, or perhaps it is still used as one. Hypodermic needles completely cover one section of the floor, an enormous stockpile of them. As they explore the place further, they run into that singular image of a single wheelchair in a dark hallway that we've seen so much on this list, and in another hallway a single stretcher. This time though, neither moves. Perhaps this hospital isn't haunted like the others, which is strange because it looks like a ghost prime haunting grounds. The exploration does turn up other interesting things as well, but it's mainly a series of long, dark, scary hallways and rooms strewn with filth, much like what you'd expect an apocalyptic hospital to look like. This urban CCTV footage was taken at a pedestrian crosswalk in Mexico City. A young girl with black hair over her face materializes in front of a car and makes no attempt to move out of the way. Somehow the automobile is able to pass through her without causing any damage. This eerie incident was captured on multiple CCTV cameras, though I suppose this could be faked with some skillful editing. A Halloween football game at Silmar High, California picked up what could be the ghost of an old football player going for one last tackle.
Anna says a month later, when she looked at the video, she saw a mysterious ghost-like figure running across the field.
The mother did not remember to even look at this video until a full month later. Let me know if you think she has made a valid discovery, or if this is some kind of camera malfunction. A YouTuber named Mr. Technical Difficult and his friends are hanging out by a river when they see an old abandoned cooler on the other side. They don't pay much attention to it at first, but after a while they grow curious as to what could possibly be inside. Finally, they can't take the suspense anymore and decide to retrieve the floating container. What they find inside is troubling.
Open the hatch.
They remove an excessive amount of masking tape and pop the lid only to see a black-eyed doll peering back at them. The creepy doll is dressed in red suspenders and its head is turned directly towards the camera. No one knows what to make of this unsettling discovery, and they all stand around for a bit laughing nervously. To this day, the group has absolutely no explanation as to how or why this doll was sealed and sent down the river, or more importantly, who is responsible for this strange message. Exploring with Josh is a YouTube channel dedicated to taking a closer look at all sorts of frightening locations. This time they decide to check out an abandoned school that is reportedly the source of black magic rituals. Pentagrams spray painted on the wall give them a general feeling of unease all around as they make their way deeper into the building. They feel watched at times and are worried about coming across someone at any given moment. I notice some sort of strange ephemeral smoke follows them throughout the video. It's visible in two different scenes. The first time happens about 5 minutes in.
You see some? Damn, this is spooky. Hopefully we don't run into anything crazy.
Then it happens again here roughly a minute and a half later.
Yo, this one's a little bit scary. If we hear anything, let's just...
The strange smoke is definitely not their breath because it only happens twice instead of throughout the entire video. Coincidentally, the smoke appears as soon as they sense that something is nearby. As if that weren't enough, they have another random paranormal encounter that is much more blatant.
Oh my god, did you get that on tape? That is insane.
I don't see any block light around the door frame to indicate one of their friends was on the other side. In fact, it doesn't look like the door even has a knob to use. There just doesn't seem to be any plausible reason for this door to open on its own. Thank you so much for getting me to 2,000 subscribers on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. Thank you.